Hey guys, welcome to episode number 528. Today is Tuesday, so I have another tank tip for you, and today I thought we would take a closer look at bloodworms, and specifically bloodworm allergies. Now, I have been feeding a lot of bloodworms in my fish room. Frozen bloodworms, freeze-dried bloodworms. They are a great food source, especially when you're trying to raise fish and when you're trying to breed fish. And in my case, I've been using a lot of frozen bloodworms while raising axolotls. So I've been coming in contact with bloodworms every single day for months and months. And I've started to notice that every time I handle bloodworms, my hands start to itch. And every time I wash my hands after handling bloodworms, it starts to go away. But it wasn't just a simple skin irritation. It felt like the start of poison ivy. And so I knew there was really some sort of hypersensitivity or allergic reaction that was starting to happen from my contact with bloodworms. Now, before I go any further, I'm not a doctor, and if you're having similar issues, I would highly suggest you go get professional medical advice. All I can do is sort of share my story and what I've learned from doing a little bit of Googling. So hypersensitivity to bloodworms is one of those things that doesn't really exist except for in the aquarium hobby. It's really just the people that are coming in contact with bloodworms are the people that are allergic to them. And it seems like it's sort of one of those things that happens with prolonged exposure, right? The first time I handled frozen bloodworms, my hands didn't itch. And after months and months and years of handling bloodworms, I've started to develop a more severe reaction. It seems like every time that I handle them. And it actually seems like it becomes most severe when I get like the bloodworm liquid on my hands as opposed to just the frozen cubes of bloodworms. But bloodworms, all in all, can cause a reaction, and it can range basically from a skin irritation, itching, hives, and that usually happens, it seems like, with direct skin contact. Anytime you're handling bloodworms, you can get that sort of reaction. And from what I've read, it can happen with frozen bloodworms, it can happen with freeze-dried bloodworms. On the more severe side of things, it seems like there's also a respiratory issue, almost like asthma-like symptoms, especially if you inhale bloodworms or like the residue or the powder, which seems like it may be more common if you're feeding freeze-dried bloodworms, where that fine particulate can sort of get in the air. If you're opening a can and you get some of that stuff in your face, that could cause some actual respiratory issues, which seems like it's a lot more serious than just a skin reaction. But all in all, it's one of those things where if you do a little bit of reading, if you do a little bit of Googling, you'll find plenty of stories about people that have had reactions to bloodworms, and it always seems to be people that own pet shops who are handling bloodworms every day. It happens with aquarium hobbyists and breeders who are handling bloodworms every day, and even researchers who are in laboratory environments where everything else is sterile except for the bloodworms that they're feeding to the lab fish or whatever they're doing. They're coming in contact with it on a daily basis, and that seems to be where my problems have started to occur. And I'm one of those people that started out not allergic to anything. I would run around in the woods all day, not allergic to anything, not scared of anything. And it seems like over the years, slowly but surely, I've started to develop allergies to things that previously hadn't bothered me. Poison ivy is one of those things. I used to be able to walk through poison ivy and not get it, but now I get it every single time. And bloodworms, it seems like it's no different. So hypersensitivity, the more often you come in contact with it, the more your body, it seems to not enjoy the process of coming in contact with it. So all I can really recommend is, if you are having a severe reaction, you probably really want to stop and contact a medical professional. If you're just having a very mild reaction to it, the steps that I'm going to take in my case is I'm just going to wear gloves. I'm going to wear a disposable set of gloves every time I'm handling bloodworms, and I'm going to try to prevent exposure, direct skin exposure, every time I feed bloodworms. In my case, I don't feed a whole lot of freeze-dried bloodworms, but I think I'm going to stay away from that, just knowing that I already have a mild allergic reaction, just to be safe. And obviously, anytime I'm done handling bloodworms, I'm just gonna wash my hands immediately. I'm gonna be really careful not to touch my mouth or my eyes or my nose or anything that could cause the problem to be worse. So just a little public safety announcement. Just be alert. It's really quite interesting that an allergy can really be centered squarely on the aquarium hobby, and it's something that normal everyday people would never never know that they have, or never experience. But the second you have repeated exposure to things like this, it starts to crop up. So it's a great food source. I'm not going to stop feeding bloodworms, and I don't think this video should scare you from trying bloodworms or using bloodworms in your aquariums. Just treat it with respect and just be mindful that this is something that can occur with repeated exposure. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.